Picture this: a tree with many branches, each one representing a different aspect of our lives. Some branches are strong and healthy, while others might be more fragile. Now, imagine a storm suddenly hitting, causing some branches to shake violently. This is what a panic attack feels like. Good afternoon. My name is Roshini Shankar.
My name is Adithi Dundigalla.
And my name is Akhila Siripuram. This is our emotional well-being challenge. For our topic, we wanted to advocate for normalizing panic attacks. Mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and act, and it helps us determine how we handle stress, relate to others, and make choices. So, what exactly are panic attacks? According to SAMHSA, panic attacks cause sudden periods of intense discomfort, fear, or a sense of losing control. They typically come without warning and vary in frequency depending on the individual.
Using SAMHSA and mentalhealth.gov, we researched risk factors that would lead to panic attacks. Here are 7 major triggers. 1. Trauma is a deeply disturbing experience caused by various factors such as sexual abuse, poverty, childhood neglect, and racism.
2. PTSD, also known as post traumatic stress disorder. This is a disorder that develops when a person has experienced or witnessed a terrifying or dangerous event.
3. Cyberbullying, bullying, and peer pressure. These can result in a negative self-image and eventually social withdrawal.
4. Generalized anxiety disorder involves excessive worry about everyday issues and situations.
5. A phobia. This is an extreme fear or aversion to a specific object, situation, or anxiety that can often lead to anxiety and avoidance behavior.
6. Family issues. Family issues refer to challenges within a family that affect relationships, communication, and overall well-being.
7. High school and college students commonly experience academic stress marked by fear of failure and difficulty managing their workload.
The symptoms that often accompany panic attacks are as follows: nausea, heart palpitations, hyperventilation, chills and hot flashes, sweating, trembling and shaking, numbness and tingling, and dizziness. These are just a few of the most common symptoms that individuals may have. These symptoms will vary depending on the individual.
We also researched 5 different coping techniques. 1. Music therapy. Music therapy allows people to express their feelings through nonverbal channel and acts as an outlet to promote relaxation.
2. Speaking to your friends and family provides an emotional outlet that you can use to foster new solutions and relieve current stress.
3. Exposure therapy. This involves gradually exposing an individual to their specific fears or anxieties in a controlled setting.
4. Breathing exercises. This can activate the body's relaxation response through slow and deliberate breath control.
5. A counselor or professional therapist can help you overcome any struggles in a one-on-one setting.
We chose this topic because it relates to us on a very personal level. For me, I began experiencing panic attacks at the age of 12. However, at that time, I was unaware of what it truly was. After a series of procedures and misdiagnosis, my doctors came to the conclusion that what I was experiencing was, in fact, a panic attack. At the height of my attacks, my mental health took a dive. Not only was I feeling stressed and worried about the issue at hand, the one causing my attacks, but I eventually began growing an insecurity to the panic attacks themselves. Thinking back, I remember a common question that repetitively popped up in my head. Are you so weak that you can't even deal with this like a quote unquote normal person? At that time, the idea of a normal person, at least to me, was someone capable of overcoming extreme struggles with ease. Setting myself to such inhumane and impossible standards not only contributed to the worsening of my mental health, but also my physical health. You see, society sets us up to believe in these inaccurate principles. The stereotyping and dehumanizing of the concept of mental health is a sole problem.
For me, my experiences with panic attacks started in high school. I entered high school as a strong student with often no worry about achieving good grades. However, my sophomore year pre-calculus class is when I first started to have panic attacks. The first time I had a panic attack was when I didn't finish my homework and was worried about what my teacher would think of me, not even fully thinking about just my grade. I remember everything closing in on me and the sounds that I struggled to breathe and maintain composure in the middle of the classroom and being so confused. Eventually, Roshini came up to me and told me I was having a panic attack. She calmed me down with breathing techniques, and the teacher finally noticed something going on. I remember being so embarrassed being called out in the middle of class, so I lied. Who just gets panic attacks in the middle of a classroom? Am I that sensitive to care about a grade? Thoughts race through my mind as I struggle with the embarrassment of having a panic attack over such a thing as a grade or opinion. When I talked about this issue with my friends, I gained reassurance of how this is normal among teenagers, especially throughout high schools. However, the thought still sometimes goes through my mind of how such a small opinion or grade can affect my mental and physical health.
Like Akhila, I didn't face panic attacks until I started high school. The first time I experienced a panic attack, I was in a doctor's office about to receive a vaccine. I knew I was scared of needles, but did not realize the extent of my fear. As the nurse started to prep the vaccine, I began to get scared. As she got closer to me, my vision started to blur. I began to gasp for air and I started to violently shake. It came out of nowhere, and thankfully, my mom was there next to me and quickly pulled me out of the panic attack. It took me a while to realize what had happened, but once I grasped the reality of the situation, I remember feeling dumb and invalid. I was annoyed at myself that I just experienced a panic attack over something as little as needles. In my head, at the time, it felt as if so many other people were living through war times, and here I was crying about something as minuscule as needles. Months later, I was talking to my mom about what had occurred that day. She told me about how she also went through similar experiences when she was my age. That was when I realized that what I had experienced was normal. Many teens my age also go through similar experiences. I learned how to cope with what was experiencing and felt more valid and supported.
After surveying a sample of around 120 students at our high school, we learned that about 60% of our peers also deal with panic attacks. This data pushed us to further advocate for this topic at our school, hoping to create a lasting impact within our local community.
A huge reason for choosing our school as the audience is to reduce the stigma around panic attacks so that students are less likely to feel ashamed or embarrassed about experiencing them. This can lead to more open discussions about mental health and seeking help when needed. For example, if a high school student witnesses their classmate having a panic attack and sees it being handled calmly and supportively by teachers and peers, then they are less likely to view panic attacks as something abnormal or shameful. Another reason is creating a supportive environment to promote empathy and understanding that this is an issue that many people struggle with. For instance, if a high school implements mental health awareness initiatives and provides resources for students experiencing panic attacks, it sends out a message that mental health is taken seriously and that students are encouraged to prioritize their well-being.
To reach our audience, we use multiple different social media platforms to spread awareness. On TikTok, we created multiple videos that would appeal to a younger audience to spread awareness of the coping mechanisms. On Instagram, we posted every day of February. Each of our posts included a quote, a description of a certain risk or coping technique, and resources to help for additional information. On Spotify, we created 3 podcast episodes. Each episode interviewed a different mental health professional addressing panic attacks. All of the research and data spread through this social media campaign helped educate our audience to reduce the stigma around panic attacks.
Over the course of our efforts, our team implemented 4 major projects: Project Feel Good, Project It's Okay Not to Be Okay, Project Stress Free, and Project Empower. First, Project Feel Good. Through this, we were able to pass notes that encouraged self-care and highlighted the importance of personal well-being to our peers. Second, Project It's Okay Not to Be Okay. This involved hanging posters with messages about preventative measures around our school. Third, Project Stress Free. Through this, we passed out stress balls to students before exams to create a less stressful environment. Lastly, Project Empower. This is a planned event during the summer. Through this event, our team will be able to discuss with kids aged 6 to 10 who were hospitalized at the Atrium Health Levine Children's Center in Charlotte. We plan to engage them by incorporating fun activities into methods of coping, such as slime making, coloring, deep breathing, reading, and much more.
We sent out a Google form consisting of 10 questions that asked about different facts about panic attacks. The respondents answered with their level of awareness prior and after the seminars and outreach efforts. Before we began our outreach, we sent out this Google form to 100 students at our high school. This form was sent out in January. Participants scored an average of 30% on this form. After our efforts that spanned from February through May and presentations on May 11th and the 12th, we surveyed the same 100 students and found that the average score to be 80%.
To evaluate our effectiveness, we decided to perform a paired t-test for our pre-data and our post-data. The function of a paired t-test is to test if the means of the two paired measurements, in this case, the pre-test and the post-test scores, are significantly different. For our paired t-test, our null hypothesis was that the mean difference was equal to 0, indicating that there was no effect of our presentation and outreach efforts. Our alternative hypothesis we chose indicates that there's a positive increase in the mean difference. We also chose the alpha value, or the threshold for statistical significance, as 0.01 to offer the most precise answer that could be accepted. Our conclusions from the t-test indicated that we can reject the null hypothesis as the probability was less than the alpha value. Therefore, there was convincing evidence that there was a positive effect on the knowledge of the participants from our presentation and efforts, since the mean difference was greater than 0.
So how exactly did all of our team members benefit from this project? For me, learning about how common panic attacks were among students made me understand the gap in mental health support provided to my peers. Panic attacks are common throughout age, gender, job, and status limitations. In the future, I wish to become a general surgeon. Discussing surgery results or the need for surgery may overwhelm patients and eventually trigger panic attacks, as it did for me. The lessons I gained from this project will help me ease their worries and provide healthy coping mechanisms to give my patients exceptional care.
Through this project, I learned a lot about panic attacks and how situations like mental health should be approached. In the future, I wish to be either a clinical psychologist or a psychiatrist, which is why this project means a lot to me. I hope that through this project, I am able to prove my interest and passion for promotion and awareness of mental health, and that mental health, such as panic attacks found in teenagers, should be normalized and talked about. I believe that many viewed and interact with our projects and our posts were able to realize that panic attacks are not something that we pushed away and not talked about, but it should be embraced and something that we can work on by seeking help. This project can help me with my pursuit of the passion of psychology and the understanding of mental health and how it affects physical health.
Over the course of this project, I've gained a deeper understanding of panic attacks, their triggers, and their coping mechanisms. In the future, I wish to become a pediatrician, inevitably helping many teens. This project would help me when I am providing direct patient care to many young teens who may be struggling to cope with stress or other triggers. With this information, I can successfully advise healthy coping techniques while also providing accurate information to my patients.
As we conclude, think back to that tree with many branches. Just as every tree is essential to the branch's overall health, every aspect of our mental well-being is vital to our own overall health. When a storm hits and branches shake, the tree remains strong because of its roots and the support from other branches. By normalizing conversations about panic attacks, we strengthen our collective roots and support each other's branches. Together, we can weather any storm, fostering a community where everyone's mental health is nurtured and protected. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.